Horses can be spooky creatures. If you've done much riding or spent much time with horses, you know this to be true, and it's one of the reasons that today's topic is an important one. So today we're talking about dealing with the world using non-associative learning and particularly understanding desensitization. So non-associative learning is basically the horse learning what around him to either pay more attention to be more sensitive to, or to be less sensitive to. So our domestic horses have a lot that they need to learn to just be okay with. They need to learn that things are not scary, they're not going to hurt them, and that they don't need to produce anxiety. So one of the main parts of non-associative learning is habituation or desensitization. So they mean the same thing, and they basically just mean the horse getting used to things. So some of the kind of, I'll say, old methods of desensitizing a horse used to conjure up images of, a horse tied up to a post and being kind of sacked out. So being overwhelmed with stimulus, like saddles, saddle pads, blankets, until I basically just kind of got okay with it. But there's actually some much better, more ethical, and more effective ways to desensitize. They might be things that you're already doing, but I'm going to share 3 of the best ways to desensitize in today's video. So I'm here with Promise and the umbrella. I'm not really sure how reactive she is to umbrellas, but hopefully she'll give us a little something to work with. So one of the first ways to desensitize is using counter conditioning. And it basically just means pairing something good with whatever the horse finds scary, so that they learn that that thing doesn't have to induce fear or anxiety, but actually it means something good. So how I would do that is if I put the umbrella up and I just start feeding her as I do stuff with the umbrella. So if she can start to learn that umbrellas actually mean food instead of being scary, she's going to be less reactive to them in the future. Now I can also desensitize through overshadowing. Overshadowing is just when we ask the horse for simple responses that are easy for them to do, but when we ask the horse for something else, they have to put more of their attention into that response and less on whatever they're spooking from. So if I was to use overshadowing, I would ask her for, say, a few steps back, and then maybe a few steps forward, and a few steps back, so that as the umbrella is moving around, I'm asking her for other responses so that she has less attention to focus on the scary umbrella. When you hear horsemen talk about, like, move the horse's feet, a lot of times they're using that in the context of overshadowing. Now, another very good method of desensitization is systematic desensitization, and that's when we slowly basically increase the levels of scary in order to give the horse time to get used to something. So if I was using systematic desensitization, I would start with the umbrella closed. I would say, let her look at it with the umbrella closed, and now I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, and then a little bigger, and a little bigger, and then I could start moving the umbrella, and then I could make the movement bigger and bigger, and eventually even work up to really swinging it around or to even touching her with the umbrella. So systematic is just starting at a low level of scary and slowly increasing that. So again, desensitization is a very important part of our work with horses. There's just so much that we expose horses to that they need to learn to get used to. And when you can understand how to use desensitization effectively and how to use it in a way that it doesn't need to be a dangerous or really a scary experience for either you or your horse. If you've ever had your horse become less responsive to something, it can be desensitization working in the wrong way, that he's actually becoming desensitized to your cue. But we'll talk a little bit more about cues in the next video.